I can't hold it back.
Hey, everybody! Hello, everyone, dear friends and beautiful strangers. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Streaming Hot is back after skipping a week last week. And I did mention that Valentine's Day seems to be a great excuse for people to go out on night outs and, feel special. Go to expensive places or to expensive looking places or eat expensive food, listen to romantic music, drink wine, get drunk, yeah, the works. So I thought it would be a shame for my would-be guest if I pursued a show last Sunday. Because a lot of people would be out on a date, so I skipped that week out. But another truth of the matter is, I was also very busy shooting that week for a short film that we're working on right now. And I was kind of under the weather last week, and I was pretty beat on a Sunday. I just wanted to do, just stay in bed and watch Netflix. By the way, speaking of Netflix, I just finished the film called I Care a Lot, starring Rosamund Pike and Peter Dinklage. It's a dark comedy, and I love it. You guys should check it out. It's super fun. I also finished The Debt, which is actually a remake, and it stars Helen Mirren, Sam Worthington, and Jessica Chastain. I love the combination of these three actors, and it's a thriller action film, and something you guys would want to check out if you're in the mood for some old-fashioned espionage with beautiful faces on screen. And yes, I am excited about this new film we are doing. This is actually executive produced by the University of the Philippines, Visayas. Thank you so much, our chancellor, who's always ever so supportive, and of course the Office of the Vice Chancellor for Research and Extension, Dr. Harold Monteclaro. Thank you so much for all the help and for making this happen. I can't wait to share more information to all of you guys when this is done. But at the moment, we are still in the stage of post production, and we're so excited because this is gonna be a wonderful film. Of course, the story based on the story written by Ferdy Harin and directed by Kevin Piemonte, and screenplay by Kenneth De La Cruz. So and a whole lot of people working together to make this film happen. So watch out for that one. Okay, so tonight I have decided to tackle a topic which is relevant and timely, and it requires some sort of thinking. I know you guys are probably, thinking like, why do I always have to have topics that require thinking, not just, make people laugh or be entertained? We need this right now. In times like this, we need to be more thinking individuals. And me being an academic, I feel like that's going to be my little contribution to my circle or my sphere of influence, to make these topics be part of the conversation. Whether you're watching now or whether you're gonna watch this much later, I hope that this is going to at least kind of trigger some sort of reflection on your part. So this discussion we're going to have today or tonight, I'd like to start posing these questions before I introduce my speakers, because I think the questions would make you want to stay on and watch this program, so you can pick a few things and maybe discuss with us later, and join the conversation by sending your comments or questions to our guest speakers. So first question that I want to ask you is, have you consumed fake news before? Have you believed in something which is completely wrong? Second question I want to ask, have you contributed to the spread of fake news or disinformation? Did you share an information that's not verified, or information that is damaging, or information that's not at all true? And the third and last question is, can you tell which news sources are reliable and which news sources are not reliable? So to be honest, I am guilty myself of all these three things, because in the beginning, when social media was starting off as, a whole new world for us. I mean, everything you get, you just kind of jump into it without really thinking. But now times have changed. People are more vigilant. People are more they're more watchful of the things that they involve themselves in. So that's what we are going to be discussing tonight. These are very real issues. These are very real things with real consequences. So we may brush it aside. For those of you who are not interested, you may say, "Let someone else handle that. We have the NBI or whatever agency." But that's what makes our society problematic when there's apathy and less of care. That's what I actually cannot stand, because it makes our society problematic if we allow purveyors of fake news to get away with their crimes. So tonight, I will be joined in by three amazingly intelligent and beautiful women who will further shed light on us as we discuss disinformation in the age of new media and the new normal. So these ladies are my colleagues at the Division of Humanities and are excellent faculty members of the University of the Philippines, Visayas. Dear friends and beautiful strangers, please welcome. We have Kat Valencia, we have Charmie Saligumba, and we have Isza Zerrudo. Hi guys, good
Good
evening.
evening.
Hi, good
Kat,
evening,
Kat
everyone.
is now in Batangas.
Yes.
So yes, so she's there, and I hope you're okay, because I heard there were like warnings about the Taal
Yes.
volcano acting
Alert
up
level
again.
1. Yes. But we're
But you're
okay.
you're okay there. You're not really in the island, right? Like you're in the main town or the main city.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, we're praying that you continue to be safe. Isa is here in Iloilo, right? And Charmy as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's so nice to have you, Isa, because Charmy, I don't really. She's always here on my show. She's like a super regular.
She's a staple here. Yes, I
Yeah, she's a staple,
understand.
and we communicate very regularly. So, and we worked together on the short
Yes.
film last week. So, this feels like,
Yes.
oh, it was just a few hours ago that we're together.
So I
So,
hope to
girls,
bring something new and novel.
yes.
Bisan faithful
Um,
lang.
Yeah, I love your energy, Isa, and that's why I'm so
Thank
excited to
you.
have you here. And of course, I always want pretty faces on my show, so this is another, another feather on my cap. I always get beautiful people to be guests on my show. But
Thanks,
okay,
Sir Bob.
yes, let's get the ball rolling, and let's
Mhm,
start with a very basic question first, because I already
mhm,
started kind of giving them an idea what to expect with this show, with this conversation. And I think you have to enlighten me as well, if the concept of disinformation and fake news are two parallel ideas, or they have some sort of like a difference, or whatever similarities they share.
mhm,
So for the layman watching us tonight, can you tell
mhm.
them in the most basic sense what is disinformation? I'd like to start with the one farthest from us here, Miss Kat Valencia. What is your own definition, or what's your understanding of this information?
Disinformation actually is something which causes harm, gid siya. Because number one, you deliberately want to influence people in terms of giving them fake information. And especially with technology, subong, information becomes a weapon.
Yeah.
It's scary, na eh. And it's easier
Mhm.
to manipulate, especially sa social media. So
Mhm.
when we say disinformation, it's actually fake news, false information, which you really intend to tell people na magpati sa imo. So that's the pinaka-basic understanding of disinformation.
There's the keyword there, to intend, meaning they are
Yes.
fully aware that they
That
are
is,
putting out false information.
yes.
Isa, can you expound a little bit on the intent? Why would people do that? What's in it for them? And
Yeah.
why?
Well, basically, the disinformation functions on the premise of propaganda, right? We all
Mhm.
have our own motives for why we want to present certain kinds of information, whether it's to convince someone to believe na tamang amuni or salaang amuni. So those motives, they're put into this process that we otherwise call propaganda, and that
Mm.
propaganda is fed to us as deceptive information. So really, disinformation is all about trying to deceive someone so that you win them over to your side.
So in a way, people creating the intention
Mhm.
are highly organized. In
Yes.
you, there is a certain level of organization, because you
Mhm.
cannot just be a one man person wanting to spread false information without end result, right? Or without a
Yeah.
certain a sort of like an objective or a goal. Charmy, have you ever been a victim of fake news? Have you had an experience fake news being like involved, whether you target or you have believed in fake news that appeared so real? Can you share with us your experience on that regard?
I think as a media studies teacher, no, I've
Yeah,
always
yeah.
been critical of, especially, that we are all probably part of our family GCs. No, that's always where the fake news always
Yeah.
shared. No, I think uh probably so many articles no claiming about, especially now that we're going through a pandemic, no, let's say for
Mm,
example about vaccines, no, it mentioned the URL, no, or the
mm,
address, the online
mm,
address would seem so real, no, pero di sa dulo, 'di ba, sa
mm,
punta sa dulo there is a slight difference between the real website, no, let's say
mm,
for example it copies the Guardian, no, pero sa
yeah.
punta lain siya gali nga URL, no. It's seeming they try to copy, and yes, it is an organized game because it is
Mm,
deliberate. We have to remember the term deliberate there. And let's say for example, if we want to know more about this information, we have also to know about misinformation as well. While misinformation was not intentional because probably may error, no, of how the facts were gathered, etc., no, ang deliberateness gid of this information is what makes it very dangerous, no.
it's a
That
it's a mean act. It's
Yes,
Yes.
an
it
act
is.
that really they really want something to fall apart, or something
Yes,
to demolish at some
yes,
point. So again,
yes,
we go
yes.
back to what Isa mentioned about propaganda, and that's
Mhm.
what it really tries. And Kat mentioned earlier, just want to go back to Kat about damage that it can cause. In the Philippines now, and the amount of disinformation that is consumed and created, do you think there has been serious damage already as of the moment?
Most likely may ara gid na siya, Sir Bob. Kay number one, ang Philippines is one of the social media capital Southeast Asia. So in terms of news content and in terms
Mm,
of our reliability sa information, mostly wala na taga television or radio gapamati. We rely content on on social media. So
mm,
social media actually influence content gid, especially when it comes to disinformation, because they have this ability to maneuver the content.
yeah.
Tapos, once may likes, shares, this information spreads pagid kay mas gusto siya actually nga ipalapta pagid sa mas madamo nga population. So,
Mhm,
in terms of siguro mambal kung damage niya,
Mm.
hindi ko siya hindi ko siya ma-quantify in terms of percentage or whatever, pero I'm sure that there are a lot of victims of disinformation, gid. And one thing is that nag-change na ang role ta as audiences. We also produce and present content. So everyone
mhm,
can actually present their content without even fact-checking the information first. So
mhm,
most likely, ang ila content is hindi reliable or wala na verify. Pero since may circle of friends sila sa social media, ini
mhm.
sila influence man nga tuod ini. So
So
dira
it,
na
it it
nagtagad
becomes a
sa
there's a multiplier effect, no?
yes.
Yeah, you have your circle of friends, you spread a particular bit of
Information.
information, yes, and then it also adds to the believability depending on who's
Yes.
sharing, correct?
Yes.
And I think I'll ask Isa this, but the Filipinos in general have there's a cultural behavior as far as impulsiveness is concerned. Because I think this is unique to our country, wherein information spreads like wildfire. It's very, very quick, but it also goes down very, very fast. So it's not like, based on what I've read. No, correct me if I'm wrong. But in other countries, it doesn't happen like that unless it's extremely disturbing. It's extremely it affects them one way or another. But us, sometimes the most mundane, the most non-relatable issues get shared massively. So Isa, why is that? Is it because Filipinos are weakly educated? That's why we are incapable of judging, or where does this problem come from? I'm sure you have a bigger picture in mind that you might want to talk to us about.
Well, the issue is certainly multifaceted. In the first place, there's that cultural perspective that we
Mhm.
have to take into consideration. I don't want to get too theoretical, but
Yeah, let's not turn off our audience. It's like, what are these teachers talking about? But I love talking to you girls. You know why? You are
yeah.
so organized. Like, you know when to end, and it's so easy to like ask the next question. No offense to my former guests, you guys were awesome. But it's so different talking to like teachers like this, because their minds work like so structured. That's why we're sometimes boring. But look, we're not that
we'll
boring.
try not to. We'll not try to make it boring.
Go, Isa. Sorry to interrupt you.
No worries, sir. So it really brings me back sa mga discussions ko in my GE classes where I talk
Yes.
about the high context culture that Filipinos live
Yes.
in.
Yes.
Basically, point is high context cultures like put emphasis on the relationships we have with other people. That's
Mm-mm.
why we have the stereotype na may
Mm.
Filipino time that we're always late, and really. Yeah, that really the idea behind that is because we value our relationships over the obligations or tasks.
Yeah.
Kumbaga, mas may weight for you ang hambal sang imong friend, sang imong family member compared to an expert. And that really weighs in on how we perceive information shared by our friends. Like let's say for example, you Sir Bob as an academician, you might share something that's true or that's from a theoretical perspective must align with to what's right. But because, for example, you're not a friend, you're not my tito, you're not someone I'm close with, I'm
Mm-mm.
less likely to believe in that. And I'd rather believe ano to yung hambal ni Papa, ano to hambal niya
Yeah.
sang Miko, sang Miga. And that's something very cultural, which
Yeah.
feeds into that chismis bala nga ginaubra natin. Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
why things like tend to spread like wildfire. But also conversely, that's how easily things can die down as well because there's so many things you can easily talk about.
Very, very, very well said, Isa. I'm sure. I hope that everyone listening tonight will have a fresher perspective on that kind of sort of like another layer of where the
Mhm.
problem actually stems from. But Charms, if you can tell us what do you think is the impact of this information to our society in general? Other than let's say the achieving the propaganda goals of a particular group, what else do you think will this bring to our society? I think mostly negative. No, what do you think?
I think the number one effect there is the erosion of trust towards professional journalism.
Oh
No,
my
that's
God,
that's
yeah,
one
true.
of like the biggest problem that we are
Mhm.
currently facing right now, as well as um going back to just a bit of what Isa mentioned, no, this is not just about culture, it's also about the educational system that we have right now. No, the lack of media literacy is a big factor as well here in the Philippines. Probably because most of us as well don't have the access towards this uh, privilege, no, of
Mm,
actually getting that skill to be critical as well,
Mhm.
no, in
Yeah.
yeah.
discerning fake news is and what fake news is not, no.
And
And yeah,
Charms,
it's
just to inject a little bit, my problem now
mhm,
is if you are critical, you are being smart shamed.
yes,
It
that's also
becomes
another
you are
problem.
the suddenly they turn the tables around and make it appear like you
Mhm.
Mhm.
are the problem, and which is like what the hell, you know? So That's what I feel that I'm sure a lot of people also kind of can relate to. No, so continue, please,
Yes.
Charm. Sorry.
And probably there's also smart shaming there, mainly
Mm.
because our level of language, no, our code, diba? I think this was also mentioned
Code.
by
Yeah.
the chancellor before. No, we have to actually also speak the code
Mm.
of the people that we want actually to inform. No,
Yeah. Yeah.
precisely the problem here in the Philippines is that probably there's the the phenomenon of
Mm.
smart shaping is
Oo.
primarily because ayaw nating mag-level down sa or di naman mag-level down, no? Ayaw nating makibagay sa code ng actually
Oo.
ng mga tao na gusto nating actually i-educate, no? And
Yeah.
amo na gani ang cancel culture pala, it's a big problem na instead of
Mm.
educating there's canceling.
What's
That's
cancel
also
culture, Charms? So we can also share the code to the general public. What's a cancel
Oo,
culture?
ang cancel culture there is you call out somebody, no? And actually there's the public anong tawag sinaman public shaming or something, no?
Parang
Canceling somebody
pa-trial by publicity, something to that effect.
yes, no.
Yes.
Instead of actually canceling somebody, why not educate somebody as well? Ka-aggressive abis ang approach to always, no? Hala hala sala ena, no?
Oh, it
It's
happened to me, Charms. Grabe. I experienced that. During the
Mhm.
breastfeeding issue, I wrote
Mhm.
something about breastfeeding. And yeah, I was attacked very, very severely. But I have a lot of breastfeeding advocate friends who told me that that it should not have been the way. It should have been that they should message me privately so I
Yeah.
could have been educated instead
Yes.
of because it was
Yes.
so public, it was so scandalous. Isa, you were probably so young then when it happened. But I was that I had that experience and it was terrible.
Mhm.
It was not traumatic, pero in a way, it's something that we should really look into, and I think that should be a great topic for my next ano no, the cancel
Yes.
culture. Guest naman kamo gyapon nga tatlo. Kumagana sila.
But
Okay.
yes, going back.
People are enjoying our discussion. I'll just show some comments here. Neka Abueva says, "Oh my God, I feel like ara ko sa ISBL ga-attend class." Um, Jen Orben
Teka.
Zaragoza, hello, Catherine Torrefranca Valencia. Kompleto. Hi, Sir Bob. And of course, we have Joey Leanne watching us.
Hi,
Daniela
Jolie.
says, Nami ang win effect ng PIO namon. I think Kat and the Isa,
Hi.
they
Hi,
don't know
Kat.
it, but si Charmie is the PIO of our Barangay
Oo,
Guapa.
Oh,
ako
that,
ang
yeah, I will know
PIO
about that.
namin na non-exist mga barangay guwapa.
My cousin Elaine says, hello, gorgeous ladies. And Ray
Hi,
Hontanar,
Elaine.
I think he was referring to my intro kagina. Yeah,
Hmm.
and those are our comments for tonight. I'm sure more will come later. All right, let's go to my next question. And I wanna start off this question with Kat first, no? Is there a way to fight disinformation at this point in time? Can we fight it? Can we protect our journalists? Can we protect the integrity of the profession? What do you think, Kat?
Yes, yes, Gid. Number one is awareness. Pero as early as now, we recommend Gid media and information literacy to children, not to adults na ha. But let's start with the MIPA.
Children.
Oo, because
Oo.
it becomes a habit. It's not like instantly they know how to read a text. Okay, they have to be critical in terms of reading. The parents should also consider explaining to the children nga not everything that you see on social media or what you watch on television is tuod or tutuod. They have to develop the habit of asking questions because it's okay to ask questions. Then you verify if tuod siya or hindi. Kaya at a young age, they have to understand nga they have actually the freedom to understand this text that's been given to them and hindi lang kay batunon lang na nga batunon as if amo na ni siya ang tutuod did per me. So number one is media literacy, and number two I think is that we also the media industry also has to adjust in terms of the let's say regulations, especially social media, is hindi pa mo nakahugot in terms of restrictions and all, because we also have the issue of how about ang freedom of information, of presenting information. Isa
And I
man na
think
dyan sa
freedom of
pagkakot.
expression is also one of
Yes.
them, no?
Oo, isama na siya. So we also have to adjust, especially nga kadasig, mag-change sang
Mm-mm.
social media platforms gani. So I think those things are some of the points that we can do. And hindi ni siya insigita, amat-amat lang. The process may take us very lawig, but it's okay as
Mm-mm.
long as may progress kita.
And you make it sound actually very simple, no? You can start with massive mass literacy, media literacy, starting at a very young age. But I guess it can only happen with policymakers, right? I mean, it has to be enacted as either a law or whatever to ensure the sustainability. What do you think, Isa? Do you have other than what Kat suggested? Is there anything else in your mind that would kind of fight disinformation, in your opinion?
I kind of want to look back on the media industry. This is, I guess, in these times, it's a tad bit controversial. This is a tad bit controversial nga take now.
Mm-mm.
But journalists these days are seen as merely peddlers of perspective, meaning that the reality that we experience, what's kung anong view ko di subong ako nang na. It's very different from Ma'am Katz, Ma'am Charms, from your Sir Bob, and I am in no position to invalidate kung ano yung view mo da, kung ano da tsura ko, kung ano da yung, there is para sa akon, super clear nga akon nga tawag sini, input, video input, but if si mo pixelated, that's also reality.
Yeah.
So, the difficulty for journalists these days, and I think that's also what they're being attacked about, is that their perspectives, I mean, who's to say nga their perspective is the right perspective? So there's really this demand at a industry level, at a profession, at the journalism profession nga level, to redefine what it means to be a journalist. It's a very challenging take, and I can't say nga I have the answers to it. There's really still a lot of academic discussion regarding what now are the journalistic ethics that we should imbibe, given nga ang aton nga perspectives hindi ng absolute truth. What you see may also be different from what others see, and who's to say that ikaw lang ang tama. So there's really this discussion about changing journalism ethics to prioritizing na lang kumbaga transparency. That's one thing that's being proposed out of many. So it's something that if we could, I just want to indulge in like a couple of minutes. Nga, basically, the idea lang gid of transparency on the part of journalists is to become transparent with your connections, your networks, who you are, and where you stand. Because that obligation to transparency is in a way obligation to truth. So kung sa imo pa lang ya pag-ubra as a journalist, you're already conscious of your transparency and your truth, then it's kind of assumed that you could project the same nga practice sa imo nga stories. So again, it's still your perspective, but at the same time, people won't feel like may ginatago ka, or in the case of disinformation, nga deceptive ka. A bit controversial, still something new maybe, but certainly in the talks.
But that's a very sound observation and a very sound insight, Isa. Because prior to this topic that I have decided on to air, I actually had communication with a very established media person here in Iloilo, wanting to talk about how actually divided the media personalities are because of their practices. It's a very controversial discussion, but it is a very real discussion. It's happening. So that's right. Your suggestion on strengthening the practice in the industry would take a long while, because again, everybody is finding their way around this phenomenon. It's a hit and miss pa, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Very
Like
true.
sometimes you think you did it right, but actually you offend another group, and so on and so forth. So it's so complex. It's so complex that even we in the academe are also struggling to find our way
Very
around.
true.
Yeah. So, Charms, is there anything you would like to add to this particular question on how else we can fight disinformation?
I think this is going to be a synthesis of what
Yeah.
Kat
Please
and
go ahead. Go
Isa
ahead.
Isa mentioned, no, Now, while there is institutional support, no, institutional support is very
Very
important.
important.
And
Yeah.
of course, on the part of journalism, there should be active journalism because technology changed the way we actually consume news. No, it really disrupted
Yeah.
the industry, no, and actually it made it difficult and hard for independent journalists to actually, it's a struggle because you have big networks, no, and of
Yeah.
course, naman, there's always the problem there of how do we survive, no, without resources if you are a
Mm.
journalist. And I think to summarize, it needs to be collaborative. To summarize
Yeah.
it all, it needs to be collaborative, like what we are doing right now, actually,
Mm.
with our network with the Consortium on Democracy and Disinformation. Gamay lang nga segue to that. It needs to be collaborative. What do we mean by that? No, it needs to be the responsibility of us citizens. It also needs to be the responsibility of journalists. It,
Yeah.
it, it should also be the responsibility of the government, of institutions, of organizations, of everyone. No, so it should
Yeah.
be, how do we fight this? We should collaborate. No, and there are a lot actually of this happening na already, and we just need to actually find those organizations, those people to actually help us in fighting fake news or in fighting disinformation.
Yeah, I like the idea of collaborating from different points, agencies, people, institutions, and so on. In fact, I was just listening to you girls, and I was wondering, in this time and age of great accessibility, exposure to screen time of people, but if you realize there is a very slow growth of journalists personalities, as far as becoming the new Karen Davila or Jessica Soho, or all the big names in the world of well, we're talking about broadcast journalism, but it's gotten slower than the time when there was not much social media. So I wonder what's the holdback, or what's the bump, in the way. So anyway, Charmy segued earlier about the event that you guys are organizing, and this is the bone of our discussion, because this is about involving as many people as possible, and this is such a highly organized event. I just want to congratulate you in advance. But first, please tell our audience, what is this third national conference on democracy and disinformation? How did you get involved in this? What prompted you to help organize this? Is this one of the ways to fight disinformation? So yeah, I'd like to start with Isa first. Tell us about this event, please.
Well, the consortium, or rather, the beginning gid sang conference on
Mm-mm.
democracy and disinformation. The first one, that was something that UPV wasn't involved with yet. But in
Mm.
the second conference, that was when UPV was tapped
Uh-huh.
through the journalism classes
Uh-uh.
to facilitate ang discussion surrounding it.
Mm-mm.
So as we entered our third year, we got into tawag sa name, we got into a rapport and discussion with one of the conveners, which is who is also our speaker, by the way. That's Mr. John Neri, a columnist from Philippine Daily Inquirer. So we
Yes.
got into a discussion with him, and he was entertaining the idea of having UPV as the next journalism hub from which we could tawag sa ni, could be a springboard for a more regional reach, kumbaga, sang
Mm-mm.
consortium. So
Mm.
it really began in those discussions. And basically, the backbone of the entire consortium is exactly in what Ma'am Charmy mentioned earlier, then much needed collaboration. In the discussions we've had with many of these journalists who are also part of the consortium, ang ilagid pirmi hambal, especially when it comes to the academia, there is actually a disparity between kung ano ginatudlo kag kung ano ginaubra gid man. So so this was like that's a major concern, because ang idea is studying journalism should prepare you for in becoming a journalist, and yet so we know so many journalists yung ila background hindi man necessarily journalism. So
Mm-mm.
why is that? So that's one thing that we had to address, because to fight this information you had to understand what's happening in the information processing, in the news gathering process altogether. So yeah, once ma-bridge mo ni ang academe kag ang profession, then you get a better collaboration between the two. Ano na.
That's fantastic. So big hopes for this consortium, right? Kat, how big have you shared yourself with in putting this together? You can give credit to other people who are working with you at this point. So tell us about your involvement in this project and what it hopes to achieve as well at the end of the conference.
For me, it's somewhat personal. I've been a reporter for GMA Bacolod for 4 years before ko
Yes.
nagsunod sa academe. The way I look at information before is different from the way I consume it subong
Yeah.
nagatud ko. And as someone from an audience perspective, siguro. So this conference actually made me realize that even though I have worked for the media industry, there are still a lot of things that I need to learn, especially in terms of reading news, reading information, reading something which is new to me, or consuming media
Yeah.
texts, especially sa social media, which is very prone and risky sa disinformation.
Yeah.
It's also this conference also made me realize that even though I learn a lot of theories sa MA sa academe and sa diin pa lain gyapon ang application if ikaw na ang nagabasa sa information, especially sa social media. It changes everything that you have learned. And nakasulod ko, siguro I'd like to thank Doc Zoy for letting me in the consortium as well sa conference because I thought hindi siya possible, especially nga ari ko diri kaglayo ako sa Iloilo. I thought it should be someone from there. But because of the pandemic, one thing that has siguro advantage is because of technology nga tanan kita subong makakita na online and we can do this thing wherein maka-inform kita tao without the need of being physically present in a place. So that's one thing that I'm very thankful of. Kag hopes in terms of the conference is that siguro maka-influence a portion of the population na mag-attend sa conference. They may be shocked at first with all the details and discussions sa tatlo ka adlaw. Pero at least may mag-stick sa ila in terms of consuming media text subong. Hindi na lang sila tagabasa, tagapamati and all. Pero they start questioning these things if tuod bala ini or mangin biktima ako sa disinformation. So that's one thing that I really hope na makuha sa mga ma-attend sa inyong 3-day conference.
And you girls have a great lineup of speakers. I would like to share your amazing posters, your amazing lineup, and maybe you guys can talk about it on a day-to-day basis. So this is a 3-day conference, and we'll talk about registration later, or if you guys have slots, and if you don't have, what everyone else could do. But first, let's share with our audience your day one lineup of speakers. Charm, can you talk about this so you can tell everyone else how this goes for day one?
Okay, so for day one, actually, ang amon na speakers, no, our speakers were divided into groups that we thought, no, or we think na would actually be more enriching ang conversation if they come from one particular field, kumbaga, no. And our first, our day one speakers, these people are actually, while most of them are media practitioners, no, they are also educators. No, they're part of the academia as well. No, so this is a good take as to how, from their perspective, this information is looked at and how this information actually affects Philippine democracy. No, from the context naman of a journalist slash educator. So that's why the title, no, of this particular conference day is ang taking root, no, campus journalism and beyond. And that's why we would like to actually encourage with students, no, and faculty members to attend this particular gathering because kanami sa mga topics, no, hindi ko na pag-share para dito nyo na lang mabas, no, kanami sa mga topics of how this information is actually going to be discussed or how they come in different forms, no, and this information according to the different perspectives. We have our very own chancellor, no, Chancellor Camposano is going to talk about the disinformation in the context of an academic institution, etc.
Mhm.
And we also have here Josa Labiste. She's my media theory professor, one of the goddesses
The
of media studies in UP Diliman. And of course, we have Sir John Neri. He is actually the convener of the Consortium on Democracy and Disinformation. And of course, we also have Professor Yvonne Chua. She's also a colleague of Dr. Josa Labiste. And of course, we have actually the lone Southeast Asian member of the Facebook oversight board, no? And the senior editor-in-chief of the Jakarta Post, NB Bayuni. Ayan. So, please,
grabe, the
there is a
speakers are heavyweights. They're like
yes.
super celebrities in their worlds. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
and this tomorrow walang time overlap, no? I mean, nakaschedule siya in such a way that
Yes,
you can
yes.
actually continuously attend. I'm
Mhm.
sure you guys have thought of giving your attendees a break for lunch, right? I'm sure there will
Yes.
be. Yeah.
Yes, ma.
So
May break siya. And then in the morning, we have a solo open forum for our plenary speaker, who is Mr. Andy Bayuli. And then in the afternoon, we have an open forum for the four speakers.
that's wonderful. All right. So that's day one. That's tomorrow, right? And it's gonna start at 9:30 in
Eight
the
at
morning.
8:30.
Eight,
At 8:30. Yeah, we
eight,
start at
eight.
8:30.
Ah,
And then
okay.
because we hope to actually end this as early as we can so that we don't actually tire out our participants
Right.
because we have
True.
2 more
And to
days.
those who are attending na mga participants, kami nga mga taga Humdiv, when we say 8:30, it's really 8:30.
Yes, like
Hindi po kayo
it's
maghahantay ng
8:30.
Filipino time because we
Mhm.
are professionals like that. Okay? So
And
yun.
we work for production. And when you say
Yeah.
it's airtime at 8:30, it's airtime at 8:30.
And these girls you're looking at right now, they're the professors in production, and you know what they can do. All right, let's go to day two. And I'd like to ask Isa to talk about it. This is our poster for day two. Okay, I'll just add that to our stream. Oh my God. Day
Yeah.
two. Isa, go ahead and yeah, tell them about it.
Also champions at their own field as our plenary speaker, a name very familiar to I'm sure a lot of Filipinos and even internationally as someone who's been
Worldwide.
nominated. Yeah,
Worldwide. Yeah.
worldwide na ganyan yung appeal ni
Yes.
Miss Maria Ressa, who has
Oh
been
my
recently
gosh.
nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize.
Oh my
So amo na
God.
ng level subong sa aton ng mga speakers for day 2. And more than anything else, what we hope to learn, especially from our plenary speaker, is a perspective about disinformation as
Yeah.
journalists mismo. So they are at the front line supposedly as truth defenders, and yet because they're at the front line, sila man ang pinaka gina-atake. So we want to hear about the experiences and how they try to combat that. Of course, she will be her points will be justly supplemented and furthered by our speaker sa hapon, which
Mhm.
we have in a panel type na discussion. We have the two Espinas, the two very
Yes.
prolific Espinas, si Sir Nonoy and si Ma'am Inday Espina Varona. Um, they are very much known as activists as well as journalists, and they have always been fighting for press freedom and human rights. As journalists who believe that these two always come together. And of course, our very own, nag-introduce na ko yung speakers, but I'm just really proud to introduce my
No, so that people would be more interested,
enticed.
even if they're not registered, they can watch tomorrow. Go ahead, Isa.
Yeah, oo. Our very own UPV graduate, si Mr. Israel Malasa, who,
Yay, proud. Yeah.
meaning Sir Bob, nabdan mo pa siya. That's your,
Yes, he's just 1 year older than me, and we're very good
oh, okay.
friends. I would see him in Manila when we tour ABS-CBN. studios.
Mhm.
Yeah, and he's responsible for a lot of our great press releases in UP each time. So we would just call
Yeah.
Sra, please, because I think he's a regional programmer,
Yes,
producer,
yes.
editor, the desk editor or something. So he
Mhm.
chooses the news items, and we're always included. Thank you, Israel. We love you. Sorry, Lisa. Go ahead,
Yeah,
please.
sure, no worries. So I'm sure he's going to bring just the same kind of perspectives, no, from his work. I'm sure from a very UP perspective as well, with regard to the topic at hand. So yes, very exciting, man,
So
and
exciting.
yeah, for day two.
Amazing. And day two is on February 24th. And
Yes.
are you guys still gonna start at 8 o'clock, or how is this gonna be?
Oh yes, this one will start a little bit earlier. So we're gonna
Yeah,
start at 8 a.m. for the opening
yeah,
program, and then morning session is entirely for Miss Maria Ressa to give her message. Sorry, not message. To give her speech on
yeah.
the topic, and then after that may open forum. Then we have another lunch break. Then 1:30 naman ang balik for the
Grabe.
plenary
Amazing
session.
how you got these speakers. Star-studded. That's all I can say. Star-studded. So let's go to day three. We're not done, guys. We have day three. Hello.
I think.
So this one will be discussed to us by Miss Kat Valencia. So this is our third and final day, which is not going to fall short of your excitement. Go ahead, Kat. Please tell them about
Day
it.
Yes, day 3 is on February 26, and it's almost the same format sa day 1 ta. And our speakers for the day are Ms. Risa Contiveros, our very own senator. Then we also have Attorney Kate Cohilia, Mr. Raul Manuel, Dr. Beverly Ho, and then Attorney Jose Manuel Chel Jokno on the third.
Yes,
So
amazing.
the third day is actually for professionals, pero everyone can attend man gyapon. This is just to develop a different perspective in terms of democracy and disinformation, because for the first day we have the academe. The
Mhm,
second day we have media journalists. So for the
mhm,
third day we have these professionals to explain if ano ang situation sa democracy and disinformation sa ilang mga fields. Like for
oo,
example, for Senator Hontiveros, if ano ang mga, let's say, layi na pwede pa ma-push the Senate
mm,
in terms of strengthening na
mm,
makabata sa disinformation and legalities of disinformation at the same time, and reporting in terms of risk and health issues for Dr. Chua, let's say, para
mm.
at least may different perspective naman kita in terms of understanding disinformation. When we say disinformation, it's not just a part of the academe or about journalism. Kay tanan kita affected when it comes to
Yeah.
disinformation.
I guess the third day is the most like information heavy of them all, because there's gonna be legal language involved, but I guess anyone who can be so interested to last until the third day would find this a perfect culmination of all the consortium, because yeah, I mean, echoing what Kat said, I mean, this is not just a discussion for the sake of discussion. There are legal implications that can be acted upon, so that these things can actually really be written on stone, and not just written on water, as opposed to that. So oh my god, this is going to be on February 26th, correct? Right.
Yes,
And if Senator Hontiveros will speak at 9:30, I guess you guys are starting at 8:30, right? It's like an
yes,
hour before prior. Yeah, fantastic. Oh my god. And then of course Raul is our graduate, Manuel, yeah, and then of course Kate Uhilia is also
Kate.
from the CMS. She's CMS, no? Yeah, right, right.
Yeah, the
And
first
si
batch of
Chuwaba,
CMS.
the assessor Dr. Ho is from UP Diliman.
Dr. Ho. Dr. Ho is
UP
from UP
Manila.
Manila, no?
Manila.
Right.
And she's currently the director for health and promotion of DOH, no?
Oh, fantastic. And of
Yes.
course, Attorney Jokno, we all know him, and of course the senator herself. So with this lineup, and you guys drumming this up already on social media for quite some time, I'm guessing there's no slot available anymore, right, Charms?
Actually, nagsulolobra na kami, no? Currently,
And that's a good problem. That's a
that's a good
problem that you
problem.
wanted. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Although we're still we're still allowing people to register because we want to reach as many people as we can. That's the goal of this conference, and actually that's the beauty as well of doing it online. No,
Yeah,
because
correct.
we get to actually reach more people coming from different parts of the country. But the
Yeah,
Zoom slots are already full. No, they cannot.
yeah,
Hindi na namin ma-accommodate lahat for
yeah.
Zoom, but actually we're opening up an exclusive a Facebook group streaming, no, for those
Mm.
who registered. They I've actually sent emails to those who registered. Actually kada mo pagid gahabol, okay, stressful siya. Like
Are they
Good.
using the
everyone.
friends card? Are they using the friends card to you sometimes?
Um Actually I'm very strict with this
Of
registration.
course you are.
I don't use the friends card in terms kung sino lang gid ya ang mauna, sila gid ya ang i-accommodate.
Accommodate.
And but we've posted instructions there that actually for those who registered but cannot already be accommodated via Zoom, they must actually join Rappler's fact checking in the Philippines Facebook group, because
Okay.
Rappler is our partner and also our host, no, for the Zoom
They're
webinar
hosting the
and
yeah.
for the streaming. Ayan. So
The only I think Charms, is it correct that the
mhm.
only advantage for the registered ones is that they can actually directly interact or ask questions to our speakers, correct?
Yes,
But I'm sure
yes,
it's also moderated. Like they
yes.
cannot speak, but rather leave the Q&A on the Q&A box. Because I think
Mhm.
that's what we do with our events also in FTC. But
Mhm.
nevertheless, whether let's say you're not registered on Zoom, it's still going to be a very fruitful experience, even if you're just watching the live stream on Rappler's official Facebook page, right? Or
On
is it a
its Facebook
separate
group,
group?
it's
Group.
a specific Facebook group which is actually under its Move PH na advocacy program.
Mhm.
It's the name of the group is Fact Checking in the Philippines. No, that's the name of the group. And actually, fact checking is really also an important concept
Yeah.
of fighting disinformation. Actually, one of the answers there is to actually cultivate the culture of fact checking as well.
And all this
So
information, you already also you included this on your Facebook page, no? Democracy and Disinformation. The
yes,
DND 21, is that
our
your
2021 Democracy and Disinformation by UP Visaya. So please
right?
follow our social
Right.
media accounts for updates.
Yeah.
Ayun.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, even if you just found out about this now, it's not too late.
Mhm.
Just visit the Facebook page and all the information. And actually, you girls, you put the way you put it together on Facebook, it's so easy to navigate. It's not cluttered, it's not confusing. So good job. I mean, I'm very picky with those things, and it worked well for me. And because I hate clutter, so yeah, it works. It works like
And
that.
thank you
Okay,
for actually, I would like to commend our graphics artist as well, Buji
who's here?
Peñacerrado, for
Oh my God, Buji!
actually
He has
Thank
been
you,
leaving
Budi.
messages. He
putting all
left
of
this
these
message for us.
together. Yes, for the graphics.
Uh-oh.
For our very upbeat naman na video teasers are actually done as well by our former CMS graduate, Marian Libuna. No? Siya naman
Uy,
tayo ang
Marian,
Thank
congratulations! Good
you.
job. Yeah. I
So,
love I love
our
the
students.
the publicity. I love all of it put together. It's so nice. And also I just want to say hi to Jolie Ann, our
Hi,
dear Jolie
Jolie. Thank you so much
Ann.
for registering.
See you
Very
Hi,
on
Ann.
time.
tomorrow.
She's so excited for tomorrow. Right. And
Wow. Thank you so much.
Kevin Piamonte says, all the best to this project. So relevant now before we all end up as completely chismis culture. Congratulations in advance.
Thank you, Sir Cab.
Yes.
Thank
And
you, KPP.
Mabel Giliergan shot all the way from Germany. Would you be recording parts of the conference and make it available for audiences abroad for a limited time? Paano kung may interested kang hindi ka attend sa exact time? How's that
Um,
gonna work?
Regarding this, we have to ask permission siguro from the consortium, no, on how are they going to what will they do about this? Because I think naka-geotag ang conference
Yeah.
to Philippines, no? And but this conference is going to be recorded. So I think part of it will be made available because that's the goal naman to reach as
Mm.
many people as we
Oo.
can. So
Yeah.
I think yes,
Oo.
Ma'am Mabel, I miss you.
Yes, ma'am. Tsaka,
Please,
ma'am Mapes, basi kung gamiton mo man ang imong friend card kay Charmie or kay Kat, kay Iza, basi tagaan kanila sang link privately. Hash lang. Alam mo, di, kasi naka-copyright na sila tanan. I'm sure Ma'am Mabel knows this. She's, oh my God,
yes,
she's
yes,
a
yes.
German woman. Marian, hello, present. Thank you, Marian. Is Marian in Calibo now? Is she in
No, she's
Calibo?
still in Iloilo.
She's in Iloilo. Hello, Marian. I miss you. I hope we can see each other soon. And Prabby, our dear Prabby, see you
Yes,
tomorrow.
Robbie,
Project
our
me.
See you
documenter.
tomorrow, Sir
Ah,
Prab.
he's part of the
Yes,
pool.
yes.
Oh,
Robbie, tomorrow halong pa Iloilo.
oh my God, Prabby, good luck. It's a very difficult job, so don't make mistakes. Documenters. Oh my God. Wow. Tonight's show, we have actually garnered a lot of viewers. I just want to say special shout out to my friend from Cebu. He is the editor-in-chief of the Freeman newspaper in
Oh,
Cebu. Joe Okao, who's also my SEA batchmate, uh,
thank you.
privately messaged me saying
Thank you,
great
sir.
discussion. And Joe is one guy who doesn't comment or send messages. So this must be so good that he
Thank
had to
you.
leave me a message. Thank you, Joe. And yeah, keep up the good work being a journalist. I look up to you because you've stayed in your job for the longest time. And he's one of the most committed guys when it comes to his profession. Powerful trio, kid. Ikaw, kid, ha? Subject si kid sa inyo next time.
Yes, see you next time. CMS 194. Wow.
Manang Elaine, still here. Thank you so much for staying with us. You're my number one cheerleader. Thank you so
Thank
much. So anyway, girls, well, we are right on time. We've been running for 57 minutes, and I don't want to make you stay too long because I know tomorrow it's gonna be a super big day for you.
Will
I'm
we?
so excited. Don't forget to pray and make sure that the event goes well. It's gonna go well. I'm so sure of that. But sometimes we have unforeseen things, but being production people, you guys are such top experts in that matter. So thank you, girls, and I can't wait to see you again once this pandemic is over. At least
Yes,
Kat,
sir.
no, kami ni Iza, there's a big chance we will see each
Yes,
other
and I
in the coffee shop of Alana, Samsi. Yun again,
would love to neighbor
nag-plugging.
coffee.
Yes. Yes. And also to everyone in Iloilo or somewhere in the Visayas and Mindanao, guys, please keep safe and be vigilant because we all know that there's a bad weather coming. There's been a little bit of drizzle earlier this evening, but hopefully the weather or the typhoon will break up because of its path, going through a lot of terrain. So hopefully it's not going to hit us as bad. But nevertheless, it's always better to prepare. So to Kat Valencia, Charmie Saligumba, and Miss Isza Zerrudo, thank you so much for spending your Sunday evening with me. And to all our
Thank
viewers,
you.
damo gid sila naglantaw sa aton. I'm so happy that I still have so many friends who are thinking people and the beautiful strangers that stayed with us. Oh my God, wait, my friend from Ohio, Cheryl Fitzpatrick, is also watching us. Thank you, Cher. I miss you.
Thank
And I
you.
hope my friend Joel gets to visit your shop in Ohio. It's in Columbus, I think. Take care always. All right, everybody, thank you so much. Have a great Sunday. Kat, Charmy, Isa, I love you girls.
Thank
Thank you. And
you.
good luck. I'll be there tomorrow on the first day. Thank you,
Yay,
everyone.
thank
Have a
you.
great
Thank you,
night.
everyone. Good night. Thank you.